Thank the gentleman from New York. And it's an honor to be here to, as you say, recognize the people that have influenced our life. And, of course, we're talking about the women that have influenced our lives to help us be what we turned out to be. And I want to talk specifically about some specific Texas women who I consider rare breed. They are tenacious, strong-willed, nurturing, and also kind. One of those is my mother. My mom and dad, I'm blessed about, they're both alive. They're 90 years of age. My mom was a Red Cross volunteer during World War II. And she met my dad. He was in World War II in Germany, coming back to the United States. He was being re-equipped for the invasion of Japan. They met at a Wednesday night prayer meeting. We call that church in Texas. Got married, and they've been married now 70 years. And she not only started out as a volunteer, she's done all remarkable things, including being a school teacher and raising my sister and I and other wonderful things. But we have, in the state of Texas, we're proud, as other states are. We have many modern-day influential women, including the First Ladies Laura Bush, Barbara Bush, and late Governor Ann Richards. These women were influential, powerful, and successful in their own right, but they were not the first of their kind. There was another generation of pioneers that came before them. Women like my grandmother, also Lady Bird Johnson, Ma Ferguson, who paved the way for future generations of Texas women. My grandmother really was more influential in my life than my own parents. She lived to the age of 99. She raised me to be in public service, and I always have been in public service because of her. Taught school. I was in the Air Force Reserves as a prosecutor, and then as a judge and a member of Congress, all because of my grandmother. She taught me many lessons, and she made it very simple. Not only did she inspire me to be in public service, I took that good advice. However, she said till the day she died that she had failed, because my grandmother was as we say in the South, a yellow dog Democrat, and could not believe that I had crossed over to the other side and became a Republican. And I'm not sure that she ever forgave me for being a Republican, but she was a strong-minded, no-nonsense individual. She used to always say, there is nothing more powerful than a woman that has made up her mind. And that's true. A woman that has made up her mind, get out of the way. And we find that true even today. That has proven to be one of the most valuable lessons she ever taught me. President Lyndon Johnson was a hard-nosed politician, but his contributions to Texas as president were really surpassed, in my opinion, by his dogged First Lady, as we called her, Lady Bird Johnson. She was one of the finest Southern and politically astute women that we have ever had in the state of Texas. While she's best remembered for her love of the environment and the preservation of our natural resources, she was no wallflower in the business and political world either. She was her husband's strongest supporter and was with him giving advice step for step throughout his entire career, while at the same time carving out a path for herself in the business world. She turned a debt-ridden Austin radio station into a multi-million-dollar broadcast empire. Her resume reads like that of a superwoman. Among her many achievements, she played the pivotal part in shaping legislation by lobbying and speaking before Congress about the support of highway beautification, better known as the Lady Bird Bill. She oversaw every detail in the creation of the Presidential Library, which became a model for other presidential libraries today. And, of course, she served faithfully and often in awe of colleagues as a regent of the alma mater of the University of Texas. Every spring, this time of the year, people head up from Houston to Austin on Highway 290. They see the wildflowers, and there are bazillions of them everywhere this time of year. Every bluebonnet we see throughout Texas Hill Country and every tree we plant here at home along a place called Will Clayton Parkway is a tribute to Lady Bird Johnson and her determination, we're going to keep Texas beautiful. Before there was a Lady Bird, Texas was home to another fiery, inspirational woman. You may have never heard about her. Her name was Ma Ferguson. The year was 1899, over 100 years ago. And Miriam Wallace married James Ferguson, who later became governor of Texas. Ma Ferguson served as First Lady of Texas from 1915 till 1917, about 2.5 years, until Paul Ferguson got himself in a little trouble, and he was impeached by the state of Texas and the legislature and during his second term, and he was barred from ever running for office anywhere again. Then Ma changed history. She did the unthinkable and ran for governor of Texas as a woman. Texas had only been run by men before, and Ma didn't care. She was going to run. She ran on a platform that 2 governors for the election of 1. Of course, Ma was not in prison like Paul was, but apparently they did work together, and she ran against Klan-supported Felix Robertson in the Democratic primary and claimed victory in the Democratic nomination. Back in those days, there were no Republicans in Texas. Everybody was a Democrat. The handful of Republicans never admitted it. So winning the Democrat primary was tantamount to winning the general election in November. And so Ma later became the first female governor of Texas and only the second female governor in the whole United States. So she defeated a little-known candidate in 1924 called George Butte, a Republican. The 2 Fergusons became known as Ma and Paul, and no surprise, Ma ran the show. However, Ma's governorship was tainted with the criticism of her loose policy of pardoning people in the penitentiary. But she was not above her critics. She pardoned thousands of inmates during her governorship. To many, the motive was behind the pardons was a little questionable, but allegations of bribery ultimately led to her next governor's race and the defeat. So after she lost the next election, Ma continued her political fight, and she regained her governor's seat in 1932, again for a second term. Her best achievements was the signing of Texas House Bill 194. It established the University of Houston as a 4-year institution. And Mr. Speaker, I went to the University of Houston Law School. I'm glad it got established. Ma would be proud to see the University of Houston today, and the Ferguson name lived long after the retirement of both Ma and Paul. My grandmother, Lady Bird Johnson, Ma Ferguson, Ann Richards, the Bush women, came from a generation of women that were strong and influential. They possessed the grace of an angel, yet led with both forceful and effective political genius. Few women of that later generation worked outside of the home, but few men succeeded with the backing of those ladies. These women did it all. They effortlessly backed their husbands while changing the world, all at the same time. And March, this month, is Women's History Month. So it's time we honor those people who lived years and years ago, honor those women that lived back during the greatest generation's time, and of course the women who live today. All those women now are in every profession, as stated earlier, including the legal profession, acting as judges and prosecutors, and not only that, members of Congress, members of cabinets, and ladies that give a lot of their money to the community. So we are thankful for them, and I appreciate the time that the gentleman from New York has given me so we could talk about some of these iron-willed